Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Kohalayim La, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Chakudash, Wa Mashana Kabaza Kwayim Shal Great Millstone, Wa Shalom, Wa Chasa Laha Bachaya Shalom. This is an article on RT News. It reads, U.S. gas line prices set new record. It says rising oil prices are driving the coast at the pump higher. Gasoline prices at the pump in the U.S. hit a new all-time record on Tuesday, according to AAA. It says the average retail cost of a gallon of gas hit $4.37 early on Tuesday. The AAA said surpassing the former record of $4.33 set in March. The increase is mainly due to the high cost of crude oil, which was hovering near 100 per barrel last week and is now closing in on 110. The association explains on its website, futures of Brent crude, the main global benchmark, have dropped 7% since March 30th. As a result, gas prices ticked slightly lower in April, but are now up roughly 10%. The retail price of diesel fuel also reached a record this week, hitting $5.45 per gallon. All right, let me finish it out. It says, a recent survey found that increasingly expensive fuel has forced roughly 2/3 of vehicle owners in the U.S. to change their driving habits. So the majority of people is feeling, they're feeling the scourges or the plagues that are being sent, going into that inflation. All right, it says oil prices have been pushed higher by some of U.S. Refineries having closed during the pandemic, while the remaining ones are nearing full capacity, according to data from the Energy Information Administration. All right, it's a shortage of energy as well. You got the oil, you got oil. What else? It's like electricity. Basically, all the energy resources are being affected by everything. Is kind of like a domino effect. It's all going full circle, and chiefly because this word is going out, so Babylon is seeing its fall. All right. It says global fuel stockpiles are being reduced as demand has recovered to pre-pandemic levels, whereas production has not yet been able to catch up. All right, so let me read it again. It says global fuel stockpiles are being reduced as demand has recovered to pre-pandemic levels, whereas production has not yet been able to catch up. So basically, the demand for it is there, but it's not being able to be produced, and that's because it's a shortage of it. It says oil supplies tighten further after Russia, a major oil exporter, and that's why it's a shortage, because Russia ain't doing no more trade from the sanctions and then just how things are going with that whole situation. It says launched its offensive in Ukraine, leading to the U.S., the EU, and their allies imposing the sanctions on Russia and banning or planning to phase out the country's oil. Which we know it's all set up on the left hand side, but it's they trying to come in with their NWO. They causing manufacture man-made shortages and famines, trying to bring this place down to its knees so that they can come in and introduce that the charagma. All right, but let's get a few precepts. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, and we're gonna start at verse 17. It says, woe is me, this is the prophet Ezra, who will deliver me in those days, in which the prophet Ezra, he was alluding to, who was going to deliver him in these days, because he understood the concept of regeneration. He knew that he would be back in these days. It says the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. All right, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. All right, and the powers of of this world are standing in fear because they can see that their rulership is being taken away from them. So they're fighting and clawing and coming up with these different plans, trying to hold on to their demise, but it's not working. All right. The beginnings of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? All right. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So the plagues, the hard times, the tribulations that are sent on this world are sent, for the Lord's people to change. It says, but for all these things, they should not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Hey, the scriptures say that everybody gonna be carrying it on, everybody gonna be carrying it on, like as in the days of Noah, everybody worried about distressed Balenciaga shoes, they worried about their own folly and bullshit, but they're not being mindful of what's actually going on. You only got a small percentage of the world, chiefly the prophets, then you got those that have what you would call so-called truthers that are paying attention to what's going on in the world. All right, it says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Hey, the victuals going into supplies of resources, food. They were cheap, prior to the Lord turning everything up, because the inflation is here, which is going to go into hyperinflation. All right. It says they should think themselves to be in good case, because really, before everything started popping off, things were somewhat cheap. Now they're getting more expensive because we're in an inflated time period right now. All right, it says, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, because it's gonna keep increasing, until the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shemel Shah, or Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. It says grow upon the earth, sword, which we're seeing. It's an article, it's various articles, of a lot of judgments going out. Deaths, great death. It says famine. Well, we're seeing that, famines and great confusion. Nobody has an answer for what's going on. They're not watching. They don't even care. They don't care, and they don't know what direction to go in. It's the scriptures say it's a crime for wine in the streets, and more specifically, when the Lord takes his men off the highways and byways, people really gonna be in a confused state. And even now, people don't know what's going on. It says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, which we coming up into. Hey, they say that it's a baby shortage, a baby shortage. So a baby formula shortage. All right, so these babies, a lot of moms ain't really, these heathen. What 2/3? They're not really into the natural stuff, so they're not really aware of how to breastfeed and things like that. So a lot of them kids, they gonna die. It says, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Hey, so the sword is gonna get those that don't perish of that famine. But just going into the point of verse 21. Verse 21 was the point. Victuals was gonna seem good and cheap upon the earth, but now we starting to see things to be inflated. As we also got in the article, said that the gas was at $4.31 back in March, but now it's up to like $4.37. So we seeing the beginnings of that hyperinflation. Where things aren't going to be as cheap as they were. Because back then, people was feeling like they were in a good case. But we're starting to see the Lord turn it up a notch. It's gonna keep turning until the baby comes out. But Aparatazada was edifying. Call Halayim La Yahweh Bashem El Shabashim Kakdash. Hey, Shalom.